Welcome back to another amazing episode of the FitBiz Journey podcast. I'm here today in Fort Lauderdale at PumpFit Club with founder Hannah Eden.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hey, no worries.
Guys, by the way, let me tell you that we have been trying to set this up for a while because Hannah and I both been traveling. She is one of the most known and wanted fitness professionals out there today. And I just really wanted her to get on our podcast because she has an amazing story to share. And I really wanted you guys to hear it. And on top of that, not only that, but she's also running this business with her husband and herself.
That's right.
And that sometimes, as we know, it can be tough, but they figure it out.
Yeah, from learning from mistakes, that's for sure. And I would love to be able to share those mistakes with you guys so you guys can not experience the same mistakes that we did. Let's just say that.
Exactly. And the same thing that you have learned the hard way too about when you were gone from your business, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that to you guys because so many of you asked us about when to open the next studio. And I think Hannah will give you the perfect answer to that just by answering those mistakes that you have done, I have done, and so many of you done. So let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
So first of all, let's start about your story because you are not from here. How did you even get involved in the fitness industry and how did you end up here in Florida?
Okay, so I definitely got involved with Florida before fitness and just the US in general. But when I was 15 years old, my dad had a career relocation for the same career that he was in. And they said, you know, if you don't move, then we don't have a job for you. And at that point, that was kind of a tough situation to be in. So my whole family lifted up and we moved over to the US, which at 15, 16 years old is like the worst thing that could ever happen to you, you know. So it was not an easy transition, but I was not also in a great place as a kid in England. So it was almost, now that I'm older, looking back, it was a blessing in disguise. But at that time, it was like the end of the world, you know. So I came over, we went to Massachusetts, into this tiny little town called Longmeadow. So I came from England, where things are a lot busier, and then went to this tiny little 10-mile radius town to kind of try and figure it out, which is a big culture shock. Had zero to do with fitness at that point as well. A bit of a dark streak, I think, in my childhood, and then decided to go to college in Florida. And that's when I came down to Fort Lauderdale and definitely found Fort Lauderdale before fitness and experienced that whole, I like to say it's like a black hole down here. It's like a vortex, you know, it's a very different pace style of life, and the nightlife is a very strong part of the community and the culture in South Florida. So I kind of fell into that trap. So it was an unhealthy place to be in. And then whilst in that environment, met someone that had invested in a CrossFit gym, which is kind of the rest is history from there. But it was stumbled upon it and was never part of who I was as a child. And, you know, it was never this thing that I was destined to be an athlete by any means. I just had a lot of channeled up emotion and energy, and found that when I found fitness, it was a great outlet to kind of channel all of those negative things about us as humans and put it in and make it into something positive. So I did that back in 2012. I signed a contract at a CrossFit gym and became a member as my first, like, you know, thing, and it's kind of just taken off from there, and the story is pretty long, but I won't go into it until you drill me with the exact questions you want me to get for you, and I'll make sure to overdo it.
No, this is totally fine because most people don't know, especially that how you even get started, and then that's cool to hear that you had nothing to do with fitness before you even get started, and when somebody look at you, they're like, yeah, right, she born like this.
Right, and I think people think that, it's like, and that because they only see what they see now, not what I necessarily came from, that it's so out of touch from where they are, but really, I mean, 2012 is what, 7 years? That's really not that much time to think about, and compared to a lifetime to go from 0 to 100. And I mean, it took a couple of years to go from that.
Exactly,
2012 to
so many people, you know, think that, I mean, overnight, obviously it could happen, which is not the case, as took you 7 years also.
No.
Same with business, so I'm glad that you said all that because from business, from fitness, from health, it all takes time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're getting all into this. And then I wanted to ask you, so you got into the CrossFit gym, and then I assume that you really liked it, and then that's when when did you even think about opening up PumpFit Club, or how did you actually?
So that's a great story as well. I first was introduced into fitness just by being an athlete, and I loved that team camaraderie and like teamwork kind of vibe, and became a really good athlete. And so
CrossFit athlete,
yeah, back in 2013, 2014, it was the only thing that defined me. But I came down to Florida originally to go to school for photography. So I had just graduated. Now isn't that funny? I just graduated with a bachelor's degree in photography, but I landed in my dream job but at that same time was running parallel with joining that CrossFit gym. So I'm like, man, I thought that this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I've been working for the last 4 years, and like, I just wanted to get to this goal, but it didn't really satisfy me once I was there. You know, all that hype had gone. So it was like the anticipation to get there that was more valuable. And so I decided, I remember specifically having a meeting with my guidance counselor in college and saying, please remove me from the job list, because I just want to see what happens if I can commit 100% into being an athlete, right? So I'm like, I'm going to do everything, but I'm going to sleep the right way, I'm going to eat the right way, and for a professional athlete, it's a lifestyle. You can't just dabble it. So I did that, and that's kind of when things started to become more obvious to me, which was almost like a simple formula that sounds really ugly saying this, but it's so easy and there's no secret to it. But if you follow a program and consistency with a plan, 9 times out of 10, you're going to succeed. And I learned that as an athlete before I translated that over to business, which is like, okay, if I follow this training program and I do 4 sets of 5 times a week, guess what? Now I've increased this and I've increased it, and it just became like a formula. That's awesome. Yeah, that's where it began at the CrossFit gym. And then at the same time, I decided I want to become a coach. So I got my certification, I got my education in that department and became a great CrossFit coach, but there was this one class during the day that was at 7:30 p.m. on a Monday and Wednesday that they just couldn't fill. It was just a really slow class, and so the owner of the gym offered me an opportunity, which was a huge opportunity that is the whole reason why we're here in this side of this gym today, which is like, let's do something that's not CrossFit, but is something that is related to fitness. And I'm like, all right, let's think about all the good things about CrossFit. Let's think about all the bad things about CrossFit. And at that time, as much as I was kind of immersed into this CrossFit community and that's all I thought about, I still worked in the real world. So I was bartending, not drinking at this point. I was a sober bartender that could experience other people's mentality, which is CrossFit's crazy, it's dangerous, it's scary, or you have to be so fit in order to do it. So I'm like, all right, let's try and meet somewhere in the middle. So let's take away the barbell, because the barbell is so intimidating. It's a huge barrier of entry. Yep. Let's take away the reps that are prescribed, or the weight that is prescribed, because if you can't do the weight, that's why the injuries happen, because people just think that they can do it and they pick it up. And rather than saying, do 25 clean and jerks, well, 25 clean and jerks for you compared to me is something very different. You know, yep. We're in the same class, so we eliminated the barrier there of having the rep count, so we made it time-based. So it's like, all right, do as many clean and jerks as you can do in 30 seconds. I'll do how many I can do, and we both know that we're in the same place, in the same environment, getting the most out of this. So that's kind of when things turned and shifted, and we created this class, and at that point it was, I think it was called, it was like a boot camp or something we called it. And then I was like, whoa, this shit's working. Like, there's a lot of people that keep showing up, and this is where I brought my art degree in, and I made these flyers, and I used Photoshop to create advertisements, and I started this Instagram page and started posting things on the page and created like this hot thing, and I was on my clients' ass all the time, sending them text messages, hey, come to class tonight, hey, do this. I gave everyone a free opportunity.
Those are important.
Yeah, the free opportunity.
By the way, this was before you actually like made it, meaning like they know who you are and everything,
no,
right?
No one knew who I was at this point.
Yeah,
no one knew who I was just a chick that loved to work out, that was just became this coach at this gym, you know, had no credibility, had never worked with an important company before. And then this gym, this class, this boot camp class started to really pick up and really grow. And then I was like, all right, I think that we're onto something here. This is not our facility, but I don't want to sell my soul to this place, so I'm gonna legally trademark PumpFit, and let's call it something. So we came up with the name PumpFit. We went on LegalZoom and we trademarked PumpFit. Like, we did everything by going home and like trying to Google out and figure out what to do. So we kind of protected the brand that way, but it was still running in someone else's gym. And these are mistakes, okay? So pay attention to this. But we built this class and we built this brand, and the deal was that he would take 80%, I would take 20%, but I would do all the marketing, I would do all the programming. I was just able to use his facility, which now I think about, I'm like, fuck that. It should have been the other way around. I should have had 80, he should have had 20, because I'm making him extra money that he was making no money in before.
Plus you got the clients.
Plus I bought the clients, I own the intellectual property of this program. Like, I built and I got on top of marketing and I did all of these things, never asked him for $1 for flyers, you know, just learning from these mistakes again. And it became really successful and really popular. And then at some point, I think we had battled and hit butt heads a couple times, and long story short, the end and the last words that he ever said that we've ever conversed to this day was like, don't ever fucking forget who made you. Anyone can do what you do, you know? And I remember being like, like that is gut-wrenching, that is so upsetting. And at this point I'm like, why? And I used to go home every day and just scream my head off and be like, why the fuck are we building someone else's business that has no like understanding of that, of our value? We're so underappreciated, we're underpaid, we do everything, we clean this, we do that, like, and I just got bitter. And so we decided that screw this, like let's go find somewhere else and let's go do this. And I think that there had even been conversation of doing it with this guy, but I feel why would we do that? I'm married, I have a team. Like if we're gonna figure it out, let's figure it out together for our own success than for someone else that is literally bashing everything that we have to do. People made fun of PumpFit. I remember going into the gym one day and they wrote on my whiteboard like, stare at the wall, eat a cookie, like mimicking, what was it? Richard Simmons dances and like mimicking and mocking, because it was a CrossFit gym, remember? Everyone was like tough and,
of course.
you know, they didn't, if it wasn't CrossFit, then it wasn't real kind of thing. So they did, they mimicked it, they mocked it, they made fun of it, they bashed it, they told me no one else could do it. And to think about all those things, which I never really do, which is probably healthy, but to look at what we've done now and to be able to understand that the biggest lesson throughout of all of that is that we never retaliated. We never retaliated once. I let the last words be that from him to me, you know, like that's my own way of winning, because as we get older, you probably realize that the last word is not the most important word. No. The last word is straight ego rather than just understanding of where you're at. So we found a space, we drove around town, and a lot of things were running parallel with this. So the same time that all of this drama is going on in our personal life, I had applied for a competition, perfect timing, from a best friend.
Or this is CrossFit, right?
This is CrossFit.
CrossFit, yeah, got it.
It was with Reebok, to be the face of Reebok 1. So that was like my first big break, and that was my first opportunity to get myself in front of people that mattered and make an impression, right? So this was going on around the same time as us trying to find this building, and I somehow made it to the finals of the Reebok 1 contest and made it to the top 12, so I was able to fly to Reebok headquarters. Wow. And the biggest learning experience was what I learned from college, which is you better be so good that they can't ignore you. So I lost and didn't win, which was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I think that if I had won, I would have been satisfied, you know, at that point. And I didn't. I came home really hurt and was like, what the fuck, man? It was so close. But I met the right people. I met the fitness director of Men's Health magazine, BJ DeGudor. I met Chris and Heidi Powell from Extreme Weight Loss. I met Jeremy Shaw. I met Jeremy Scott. I met all of these important names. And so I made an impression and went home and just wouldn't stop being annoying and consistently tagging them in every single thing that I was posting and just doing all these annoying things. And then everything that I've created was nothing. It was like, we make fun of it. But because I consistently almost forced it, it became a thing. That's the same thing with HIIT and fitness, the same thing with PumpFit Club online, the same thing with all the clothing things that we do. And if you believe in it, and which we do, we believe in everything that we do every day, then I think that the others world will believe in it too, you know?
Exactly, and then you did the right thing. I mean, guys, 3 things I just want to right away jump in. So 3 things you can learn from this that I already picked up on, and you're going to talk about it too in a minute. But one is, obviously, appreciate your team, as you weren't at that time, but that's good for the better, because now you're here, you guys are here today. But you definitely have to appreciate your team, otherwise it's not going to work. And then second, what I wanted to point out, that you did the right thing. You pushed what you believed in, just like you said, and then you pushed it, shoved it out, and reached out to so many times to Women's Health, I assume, Oxygen, all the magazines, whatever that you believed in. We did that so many times, and it just works. So people are just always wondering, like, how do you get into the magazines? It works. Well, I mean, you have to get done the work, pitch it the right ways, and talk about it.
But I think that's a great point, though. It's like, people assume that whatever success means to you, but successful people have opportunities that come to them. You know, like no one came to me. Like, you go knocking, and you keep knocking until they hear you. And then if you treat them right and the situation is great, they'll knock back in the future. And it's just, relationships are huge.
Exactly.
And flash forward to PumpFit now, like I think we've learned that the hard way from being here. Just because whenever you're in it and in a new business, things are so crazy that you can only kind of see what's right here versus the bigger picture. And we've learned that now. It's to hire a team of rock stars, man.
Exactly.
And to make sure that your rock stars will rock with or without you, you know?
Let's talk about that. So one thing also that what you mentioned is for successful people, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Obviously, we're pitching, so you got lucky.
Yeah.
But that's what I always say to people, because they always say that, oh, you're so lucky, but it's not. But you know how it works, obviously.
And I actually want to drop something in here. I'll never forget this. I think this is a life lesson that my father instilled into me. Like, my parents grew up with very little, and my dad and my mom have worked their whole life to try and provide us with what they didn't have. And my dad came from not a great place, from in northern England, and he said to me one time, man, I'll never forget going back to the same pub that I used to go to 15, 20 years ago, and the same people are there. Yep. And they saw me one day, and they now see that maybe he had a nice car or he lived a different lifestyle, and they're like, Alan, you're so lucky. And he was like, fuck off, am I lucky? I just worked so hard for the last 20 years to get away from this scene. You know, there has been zero luck involved in this whole situation. And I see that all the time, and I remember that all the time. It's like, luck doesn't exist. You gotta earn what you want. You know?
Create it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. That's so good to hear that, and I hope you guys took a note, because that's 100% agree with that. So let's get to here. So a few things that we talked about before the camera, which I really want to talk about, is how did you guys, first of all, decide, well, once it was open and everything, how did you learn about that you do need rock stars, and how did you decide that the rock stars are able to run the company while you are gone? Because I think you should also share where you were last year. What was that, I guess I should call it pedaling, right? All about, how many miles it was exactly, because when I heard it and I read it, I couldn't believe it.
Okay, so I would even say the year after that is what we've kind of learned from. So whenever we decided, and my husband and I decided, his name is Paolo, because we refer to him a lot in this conversation, but whenever we decided to open up this facility, it was like, all right, are we gonna do this? Yeah, we're gonna do this. All right, let's go. So it was just him and I. My parents helped us build out everything. So my parents, myself, and my husband put all of this, all the floor down, the turf down, we painted on the walls, we installed the lights, we made it all come to life. But it was just us, so we used to coach every single class.
Wow.
So when people thought of PumpFit Club, they thought of Hannah and Paolo.
Yeah.
So whenever my career started to pick up more, that gave further opportunities to, which on a whole is only trying to better myself and my businesses, but as I'm trying to do that, I'm damaging a business over here. So it was like, man, I remember saying with Paolo one day, like, I feel like I'm a bird that is just trying to fly, but I'm trapped. You know, it's like we're trying to spread our wings. Everything is right here, but we can't, because the biggest mistake we have made is making ourselves a business. So yes, we have a very specific kind of style of coaching that we do here. Yes, we definitely have our own personalities that stand out and definitely make an impression on people, and it's the energy that we kind of created. But we didn't come out of womb like this. We learned this kind of skill set. We're similar in certain ways, but we hired people that were quiet. They did a great job, but they were coaching our program, you know, and I think the members knew that, the members felt that. And I think also that when we began, we didn't quite realize or understand how the Hannah Eden Fitness brand was going to take off at the same time, and so we didn't plan for that. So we were just kind of trying to survive, right? Yeah. So as everything is happening, as success is going on in many different ways, but that's making or causing me to not be here so often, or it's causing Paolo to be with me in certain situations, we didn't have any systems in play. Because when we opened and we were growing. Well, the books are great. We're making money. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's good. And then as soon as I leave, oh wow, now we're down here, and oh, shit, attendance went from full to no one's showing up now. No one's here. You know, and it's like, wow, this is a big, big problem. So we decided to hire a bunch of rock stars that now they hold their own. Their personalities are so strong that people don't come here for Hannah and Paolo. They come here for Becky, for Nina, for Leah. I mean,
it's a bonus when you're here.
And when we are here, awesome, then we're here too, but people's expectations aren't there. And this is a revolving door, right? And I think if any businesses, so we gain members, we lose members, we gain members, we lose members, and this is gonna happen forever. But I think the first set of members we had, they joined when they had Paolo and I, 4 classes in the morning with Hannah, 4 classes in the evening with Paolo, 8 classes a day that were with us. So I'd be pissed off too if I went for this coach and then all of a sudden she's not here. Then I was also struggling, like, do we tell them that I'm not going to be here because I feel like they're going to get pissed off? And then we were like, sometimes we wouldn't tell them, then they wouldn't even know that we're out. So then we realized open communication with your team and with your members is critical. Like if they know what's coming, then they're going to support what I'm doing. It's not like I'm out there sipping on cocktails. I'm out there trying to build more of the business that is for our future, you know? So I think that communication with the team, communication with the members that are here and having that open book policy, and also building a team of rock stars that, number one, we trust, but we invested a lot of time into their training period so that they have got such a strong style of training there. They feel more than comfortable to own this room, that there are a lot of really fit athletes that come here that will eat you alive if you seem like you don't know what you're doing. So we do make sure that we invest time with our team at the beginning to make sure that they feel comfortable, they know the PumpFit module, and they know this whole style of training in and out, that they could figure it out if something went wrong, or correct form, or replace this or replace that. And maybe we didn't invest enough time in the team that we had before, or maybe the expectations, which happens all the time now, is you got to be careful who you bring onto your team, and just know that they understand what it is that they're getting into. Like, this isn't, I think because of social media, people see what we do from the outside and think that we just like laugh and joke all day and get to work out for a couple of hours, but whenever the cameras aren't here and the Instagram isn't out, there is so much hard work going on behind these walls that no one really sees. And I think they think that when they come in, they're going to get like a friend group that are going to get abs together, but it's not, you know. And there is a lot of distance between myself and my team, which sucks. But I wish I could be with you guys more often. But the time that I do have now, when I'm tired, I'm not tired. I want to make sure that we're doing a team workout. I want to make sure that we're doing a social, and we're all drinking mimosas, and they're coming to our house, or we're doing events together. That we are working here, but we are a team of people that genuinely love each other and care about each other, but we've all got one common goal, which is to make this business succeed in one way or another.
So how long did it take you to realize that, and then how did you even set up the systems and put the right people in the right place to make sure that while you guys are gone, then everything is good?
I think that whenever we opened, because to rewind back to 2015 when we opened, it was a joint effort between Paolo and I, and it was like our minds together that made the success of this business. And then 2017, I decided to step out from PumpFit and go all in with HIITandFitness.com, which was this online training platform that we had created to try and recreate the community that we had created here in Fort Lauderdale, but virtually. And again, this is just to throw out for you guys to take advice from this, but I didn't just do this because I thought it would be a good idea. I did this because I knew that I had something good, and didn't just take that risk. I put in a lot of free work to confirm that the product or the whatever it is that service that I'm trying to sell, people actually want. You know, I actually have a product. So we tried to build the Instagram page and it was working, like, aggressively. So that showed us evidence that people like to see and like to do kind of the things that we're doing here. So let's get some kind of structure. So we created a way for people to get the programming that is kind of typed up on a screen. But if you can't see us and we're not there as a coach to literally demonstrate the exercise, we have a database of like 600 different videos on YouTube that we would embed the links into the programming. So that was the next step. So whenever we did it, it was kind of like an experiment that blew up, and that was kind of where things redirected and how the growth of the brand happened so much. But whenever I did that, I think I turned my back on PumpFit without, like, I was out. I was like all consumed over here, left Paolo and the rest of the team behind. And I think that whenever I went to Iceland, which was to tie in that part, which was we left for a long trip, which required Paolo and I to be out, because he's supporting a mission that I did just over a year ago, which was 828.6 miles around the entire ring road of Iceland to stand up against, pretty much, and say fuck you to cancer. I was going through a real hard emotional time with one of my best friends that unfortunately lost to the battle. So we started a non-profit and decided to do these 828.6 miles the goal was 8 days. It took us 9 days, but it required a lot of time training. It required a lot of time out of the facility. And so whenever Paolo and I returned back from that, we realized that we needed to implement systems that would work automatically regardless of what was going on. We had some put in before, but they weren't instilled with both of our minds. So whenever I returned from that job, we decided that every Tuesday, I'm here. So we have a meeting every Tuesday, which really ties it in, and we didn't really think that it would make much of a difference, but it does, because now it's that creative masterminds again together, setting out the plan, and we have crazy structure of the way we do things through like planning out the entire week ahead of time, looking week by week, looking at month by month, and seeing that we're fulfilling certain pockets that we have. That we, for a gym here in Fort Lauderdale, just trying to shove these little things in for all of you guys, but we have multiple things that we're trying to do, which is number one, to keep the current members satisfied and happy. Number two, which is community outreach, to make sure we're doing stuff with the community. Like we just did a collaboration with Lululemon this weekend in Fort Lauderdale, and also for new client acquisition, how are we going to gain more members around here, as well as marketing. So we just sit down every week and we fill all of our structure out for the week for these 4 different pillars of what the business needs in order to succeed. If it's pre-planned, then if we're away, then we just pre-plan 2 weeks ahead of time, or whatever it is, and we automate a lot of things that way. So that system really helped and kind of came into play.
That's awesome. And so when you came back, you learned that after you came back, or you already had the system when you went away?
We had systems, but not with both of us. So bringing in a team meeting, so that was one thing that had changed. For over a year, Paolo was running this place alone, and I was just showing up to coach and showing up whenever I could, and just felt like I didn't really know much about the business. I was too far away. So when we brought our minds together now, there's not one thing that's going on that as a team no one knows about. Like we all are on the same page. That communication is huge, and having that open book.
And right now, you have online coaching, you have clothing line basically, and you have the studio. What else is that you guys are working on right now?
So we have 5 LLCs, right? So we decided to separate them all. So yeah, we have the PumpFit Club here in Fort Lauderdale, which is awesome. And our next step, honestly, is to allow this place to run entirely without Paolo and I here if we ever needed to get there, which will take a while to transition out of, and we don't want it to be a sudden change. So I think that will have to happen over a long duration of time. We have Hannah Eden Fitness Online, which is where I sell ebooks, which are downloadable ebooks for people to purchase. They download them and they own them to their device. In here is written out maybe 6 to 12 weeks of different programming, and I often host a lot of challenges that go along with that, which has really helped my online community get real. As much as it's virtual, there's real relationships that are happening, because it's the same group of my HEF tribe that have made lifelong friends through one common goal, right, which is the same training program. Then there's FYR Apparel, which is kind of where FYR started here in PumpFit, which is Find Your Reason. So we have a whole apparel line for Find Your Reason. We have HEF Partnerships, which is with I have a partnership with a nutritionist that works with me, and we collaborate on ideas there. We do retreats, so we just hosted our first fitness retreat last year, which was awesome.
Where was it at?
In Costa Rica. It was so good. We had 50 people from around the world.
So not just clients?
No, actually, you know what's surprising? Not one person came from this facility.
Wow. Did you guys hear that? Because I think that's huge.
And that is huge. And you know what I realized? That shocked me at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, they did what? And then I stop and realize that I'm with these guys every single day. We do beach workouts all the time. We get cocktails all the time. Like that's what we do as our community here. And the people online that just get to look at what we do every day, they're the kind of people that are going to travel and make that investment to have these life-changing retreats where it was like a all-in-one inclusive place where we got to work out, kind of share stories and create that
that's so crazy,
blow down the wall. It's nuts to think about, but it's very eye-opening, you know. And that's 50 strangers from around the world that actually made that time to book their trip and pay for the ticket. But that was honestly a really selfish thing for me, because the first time as well, maybe we didn't. I mean, we profited from it, but it wasn't like the biggest moneymaker in everything that we do. But it filled my emotional cup, and I'm realizing as well as time goes on that if that cup of mine is getting low, everything takes a toll. You know, so I need to kind of fill my own cup in the way that human connection means more to me than an iPhone or a computer screen or Instagram or Facebook, and all of these things that I'm listing are just tools. But if I can't connect the dots, I get so burnt out, and I get really it becomes unenjoyable anymore. Yeah,
that's a huge deal, by the way. So many coaches and business owners struggle with that. So I'm glad you figured out what it is, because then you can prevent it.
And all the other things that we do is like, you know, to that point is finding what drives you. And I think we know what it is until going gets tough. And then it doesn't matter anymore. So I used to think that money drove me. And I came from bartending where I made like disgusting amounts of unfathomable money, and then I let that all go to take this risk into business where fitness, secret for you guys, doesn't make much money and will not make you rich unless you know what you're doing. So I think a lot of people do that to try and make money.
Yep.
If that's why you're in it, it's not going to work. And I realized that when you stop focusing on the money and you start to focus on passion, passion will make you money in the long run.
And all the things will turn into it, because now you're looking at different avenues, just like you did, just because you're passionate about it. So many new things come in if you're just focusing on like, all right, I gotta make money on this sale or whatever it is, then yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it becomes obsessive. And sometimes I battle in my head with that too. It's like, are we overdoing it? Are we involved with too many different things? But all of these little things that are not really that little, they all complement each other in some way or another. So I feel like when I sit down and say maybe there's too much going on, I try and remove one, then something else gets hurt too.
Yep.
So to kind of tie back into evolving, right, with the subscription that I was telling you about, but this is our core project that we're doing right now, which is taking all of my time and my emotional and professional bandwidth inside of my mind. We are about to launch an app, because a follow-along live streaming app that is a one-stop shop that everyone can go to this one place to find everything. And that's kind of my solution for having everything everywhere and just bringing everything into one. So there'll be the workouts, there'll be challenges, there'll be recovery, there'll be motivational talks, there'll be a thread and a chat room in there, so that everyone can come to this one place rather than having to go to 8 different places to get their message across. Or there's just so many exciting things, but that's what we're really, 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 really putting our time into, because we've also realized that we found a strength that we have. And I think if you can recognize a huge strength, then you should run with it, which is being in front of a camera and not needing a script. And just understanding, like, I feel so passionate about fitness that it's what I'm good at, right? And I realize this all the time, and then whenever I start doing graphic design or recreating logos, I'm like, whoa, like, slow your roll and stay in your lane. So how can I do all of these things at the same time, as well as, rather than just standing in the gym and working out all the time? Let's work out with a microphone, real time, and do this with my community. So it's real time from the beginning to the end. We don't retake, there's no edits, really, just switching from camera to camera. If we fuck up, we fuck up. It's like, it's real, it's organic, it's authentic, it's something that someone can return to every time and know that they're going to get a kick-ass workout. They're going to hopefully sharpen their mind as well as their body. But it's a one-stop shop. So that's exactly what we've been putting everything else in. And this is the evolving and the kind of next evolution of that subscription that I did with the YouTube videos. Now it's like, how you can't just stay there, because yes, that when in 2017, that was the hottest shit, and I put video links in. No one did that before. And then I got so wrapped into this that I wasn't looking at what other people were doing. Then fuck, now I'm behind. Like, I'm so behind. So now we know that not many people are doing this, not many individuals are. They're usually big corporations, which are the companies that hire me. That kind of, I have to instill some more self-confidence there. It's like, if these guys are willing to fly me to these places and pay me this much money, they're not writing the programming, they're not giving me a script, they're paying me for me. Like, same kind of moment from the gym. It's like, I'm gonna now do this for our future, which is needs to be sustainable, other than just posting pictures and videos on Instagram. You know, it's like, that's successful for now, but maybe because I'm married, maybe because, I don't know, we got into this while we were younger, but like, I want to have a future that allows us to have kids and enjoy being parents. And I see a lot of influencers that are great parents, but they are torn, because being an influencer or doing this whole like social media world life thing consumes so much of your time that, for me, it doesn't drive me, and it's not sustainable. I could probably break a leg tomorrow, and everyone, if I didn't pump content out, then probably everyone would forget about me within a week. It's just so fast paced that I believe that anyone that is getting into fitness, anyone that is getting into this whole online social world needs to set a sustainable and successful plan for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yeah, social media could be completely changed by then. You never know what's going to be the next big thing.
Exactly.
But I'm glad that you guys, I was going to ask you that, what's next for you and PumpFit Club, but you basically explained it. So where could people find you right now? Because you have a huge social media following, since you mentioned social media.
Yep. So
could you say that?
Yeah, it's Hannah Eden _fitness. So HANNAHEDEN_fitness, and HannahEdenFitness.com. And you can sign up for the newsletter on heftraining.vhx.tv for the new app that's coming very soon.
Good. And then was there anything that you would either want to, so 2 options, you can give it out to, let's say, a new personal trainer who's just starting out as a personal trainer, or to a business owner who is just starting out as a business owner, or you can pick both of them. What would be like the number one advice that you would give to them?
Okay, so to a trainer, people ask me this all the time, what certifications to get. So certifications are very important, but just know from a gym owner's point of view, I've had people that walk through this door that have an arm's length list of certifications, but if you don't have the personality and you genuinely give a shit, your certifications don't mean dick, right? That's number one. But on the same note, don't get so structured into like traditional things anymore, because fitness is evolving so much that I believe doing things that you enjoy shows in your coaching skill. So yes, get your core, maybe your NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, to learn the foundations, but then do special workshops, certifications in modalities that are really strange. Bodyweight, animal flow, TRX, battle ropes, kettlebells, maces. The future of fitness is evolving and it's becoming very unconventional. So tap into that. To business owners, number one is make sure that you are not trying to do this for the money, but number two, have a plan. And opening up a new gym is it's like a new relationship or a new marriage, right? Everything's great for the first 1 year, maybe 2 years, but if you don't have a plan, you're gonna be having a lot of oh fuck moments in year 2 and into year 3, unless you're already well on your way before you even open the doors. So don't let the beginning of a business kind of overexcite you, because that success will not last forever. So have a system in play.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you.
So excited to have you on and I'm pretty sure that everybody who's listening, super excited, because
thank you so much for having me.
You covered from all the way from, starting out as a passion, and then just from fitness, and then you went all the way to the steps. You literally went from just an outsider completely, then a user, then a coach, then an owner, and a coach to the coaches, and then basically you keep going up on more and more and more, which is you going each individual step, and you're on your final step to just the owner, which is basically once and final, because there's no other than owner. I mean, you could be like many, many owners, but yeah.
And I think that kind of is interesting that you're pointing that out, because now the only way that I've been able to be in the position that I'm in is sharing my experience and trying to help other people attain the same thing, right?
Exactly.
It's like, use my mistakes to not make those yourself. And I think it's interesting that you're doing the same thing. It's like you're trying to pick people that have succeeded and teach people that are new at beginning or just getting started on things not to do and the right things to do. So I appreciate that.
Guys, don't forget, it's also on video. If you guys watching, you should definitely check it out. And then make sure to look at our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Thank you so much. Share the episode and see you guys next week.